This is the Seller Process Podcast, where we talk about the best systems, processes, and SOPs for your Amazon business so that you can regain control of your time, build up your team, and scale your e-com empire.
Hello, entrepreneurs. If you are wondering how you can leverage the new stream of data Amazon has opened up for sellers in order to extract valuable information and insights to grow your business, then this episode is for you. Our guest today will share with us a system to boost your keyword ranking by combining information from multiple reports and datasets. I'm joined today by Gonza Martinez, an Amazon 8-figure seller and CEO of SireSquare, a full management Amazon agency, and co-founder of Core, a PPC mastermind and community. Hey, Gonza, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Awesome. So, guys, Gonza, as you may know, he's really one of the most insightful Amazon seller I know. So I'm excited now to bring him in on the show because he has some kick-ass process to share with us. So I came to know that he has this process leveraging Amazon first-party data and combining it through a powerful spreadsheet to gain more insights on competition and our product. So, Gonza, I'd love to have you, give us a general high-level overview of this process on how to leverage this Amazon first-party data, and then we will, dive deeper into each step of the process.
Sure. So basically, this process was born out of necessity. There's so much data from third-party softwares, and if you're a seller like me, you probably have redundancy of data. You have Helium 10 and maybe other keyword tracking software that does something else, and you keep two. So the amount of data that we have it's really big. Then Amazon in the last 24 months has also stepped up their game, and it's offering us first-party data, which for us has been a game changer. The problem is that with the passing of the years, there's more and more of it. There's more data from Amazon, more data from third-party softwares, more softwares that come into the market to offer a different angle on the data. So it's, if anything, confusing. And for most people, it's a daunting task just to analyze it. And at the end of the day, you don't make the best use out of this data because it ends up confusing you, and no one teaches you how to make decisions based on it. So we created this file that I'm sharing with your audience, that you can download the file and you can download an SOP on how to use it. Just to compile what we think is the most relevant information. Of course, there's a lot more than you can use, but those would be nice to haves, not must haves, right? So we decided what is the best data that we need, the critical data that we need, and we put it into a single file. This data comes, I'll explain where the source of this data is. So there's a search query report that now finally has a download button, which made our lives more like easier. Then there's a brand analytics report, all at ASIN level, not at brand level, but ASIN level, and you download the same time period. The more time you download, the more consistent and relevant the data is. Then we use Helium 10 to download a keyword ranking report, and we download the sponsor product search term report. The search term, the impression share report from Amazon's advertising dashboard. We put them on a file, as I mentioned, and then we have a first tab that compiles all this information and shows you and calculates based on some inputs that we programmed in there, calculates different things, like, for example, your click-through rate, your organic click-through rate, your add to cart percentages, your calculates the categories or your competitors' keyword, the conversion rate of each search term on the search query report, and compares with your ASINs conversion rate at a search term level. Then that's on the organic side, right? Which is the search query report. Then it shows in brand analytics when your ASIN has its rank 1, 2, or 3 for individual search terms. And then it gives you from the PPC side all your metrics. And this, mind you, it requires that you have a good naming convention for the file to recognize the search term as an exact match target in your campaigns. But then you can see your clicks, your click-through rate, your CPC, your orders, your ACOS, and the impression share that you have for that particular search term. So on a single line, you can see all the data for a single search term coming from different sites, first-party data and third-party data. And you can very quickly compare search terms with your competition and within your own advertising strategy. So that's pretty much what we do. And depending on where you are in the life cycle, whether you're launching or maintaining or growing a product, we look at different things, which I'll explain later.
Okay, very perfect. So that's great. So guys, remember that in every episode of this podcast, we always share some complementary material. So go find the download button in the show notes of this episode, or if you're watching on YouTube, you will find it in the description. There is a link to download the spreadsheet that we're talking about. So we will now cover actually here how to combine all this data. It will be shown to you in the SOP that Gonza created. So it will be all together. You will find easily to how to use this spreadsheet and how, because there is an SOP for that. So you will easily combine all these reports together. But what we're interested in right now is to understand the strategy behind that. Like, so what are the steps that we should take after we know all this information? Like, what steps we should take in order to boost our product ranking, our keyword ranking, and how can we leverage in general the information that we get from all these reports in order to increase our sales, grow our keyword ranking. Tell us like the main ones, the main thing that we can do.
Well, the number one you just mentioned, I think the most important it's ranking, right? Organic ranking, organic and advertised ranking. So I think that's for sure the number one goal for most of us. And this file, what helps you, if you understand, and we'll spend a minute or two understanding how you rank organically and how the A9 works in terms of ranking. So ranking, it's a very complex process. It's a machine learning process that the A9 uses to relate a search term to your ASIN and with an internal score. That internal score, it's an average of more than 150 to 200 different values that are also ranked from 1 to 10, let's say. And the way each one of these values weighs on your product, your ranking of your product related to the search term differs greatly, whether you are in the honeymoon period or if it's a well-established product. And the reason for that is that Amazon doesn't have enough information at launch, and they don't really know what to do with your product and how to index your product. And they depend on customer behavior in order to assess that initially. That behavior, it's very important to understand, because then it'll prompt us to look at data in these files in a different way. So imagine if you have a long-standing product, you've been selling it for 2 or 3 years, then obviously your sales velocity, your medium or average price point, your conversion rate, the amount of reviews that you have, those are values that weigh very highly in the A9 for rankability, right? But at launch, Amazon doesn't have any of that. So there are other behaviors that speak of intention, the intention to buy, the interest that people might have on your product. And those are amount of traffic that your listing gets, which is the amount of clicks. So CTR, if you're launching with ads, is very important in the beginning, because the higher the CTR Amazon sees, the higher the intention. That's their assessment. The customers have the intention of buying this product. Then they pay a lot of attention to the engagement with your listing, the browsing, how the scrolling, the up and down scrolling, the engagement and the clicks that each one of your photos has. The bounce back rate is very important. If people spend the time on page is very important. People spend less than a second or 2 seconds. It means that for that particular search term, your product is not relevant probably. So Amazon doesn't have all this history of conversion and CPCs and everything that they use. Ultimately, they use, but in the beginning, they only have this very few data sets. So it's very important. Of course, we're talking about data, but I can't stress enough the fact that the importance of having a good listing with good images, good description, a good price, and all of that, which will help you rank initially. But when you're looking at CTR, if you calculate your organic CTR and your PPC CTR using this file, and your total add to carts is also in the beginning a very important metric to rank, right, for a particular search term. If you calculate this and eventually you know the conversion rate, you can very quickly identify the search terms that organically or through your campaigns, you have a higher CTR and a higher add to cart rate than the competition. Eventually, if you have a higher CBR than the competition, those are your ranking search terms. Those are your ranking keywords. So you might think at launch, okay, this is the way we normally do it. We do keyword research based on the competition. We decide, okay, I'm going to launch with these keywords based on their search volume. This is how we all have been doing this for years. And then you start shooting darts in the dark, and based on your ACOS, you adjust, or on your P&L, you adjust. But really, you don't know whether those keywords can be ranked to position 1 organically or not. And normally what we do, we end up chasing a ghost. We end up putting money on keywords that we think are relevant. But Amazon now with the first party data is telling us, yeah, it's relevant, but you don't convert as highly as your competitors do for that particular search term. So therefore, I'm not going to rank you higher. So all your efforts in advertising and all the money your ad spend on the keyword might be fruitless in the future. So this is how you make your launches also more affordable or more efficient, by putting your money on the search terms, whether you find them relevant or not in your head. Those are what your customers are finding relevant, what you're converting the highest for, and therefore what's being easier for you to rank, and probably you're already ranking for them. So that's why looking at all this data and analyzing how you perform compared to the competition at a search term level, which is keyword level. So, it's crucial, especially at launch. And then for maintenance, which are your legacy keywords, which are the ones that you perform the best for. And then you adjust your advertising strategy just to remain the most as profitable as possible, right? And then looking at organic ranking on the same file that you see conversion rate and total add to carts, it's super helpful because, and this is the second variable that I find that has been a game changer for us. You also have your impression share for that search term on the same file. And if you have been advertising for a few years like we have, you never know when to stop. You never know, okay, I'm going to increase my ACOS to see if I can get more impressions, right? And you might be overpaying because you might already have 90% of the impression share for a particular keyword. And therefore, you should start, reducing the bids on that search term in order to get a better ACOS. And that might not result in a huge loss of impression share, which makes you more profitable on that search term. And it prevents you from overspending, which we normally do. We normally overspend because we don't know the limit. And with these files and all this data, you actually know how many purchases there are on Amazon for that particular keyword for all your competitors, including yourself. And you know how much of that your product has a share. And you, at some point, you decide, okay, you know what? I have 30% of the market share for this particular keyword, and I have 80% of the impression share. That's it. I'm not going to get any more. So now you know, and you can make decisions, like very, very surgical decisions on each search term, and you understand the entire funnel, how you perform on a click-through rate, organic, and PPC point of view, which is top of the funnel, and then how you convert down the funnel as well.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love that insight. I think it's, it's very important because it answers the question, like what keywords should we target during launch. And as you rightly said, in the beginning, the algorithm doesn't have the sales history, so we cannot base our decisions on those kind of metrics like conversion rate or sales, because we don't have any of that data. But I think it's a great insight, what you just shared, that we should instead focus on add to cart or click-through rate, both organic and PPC, because then the ones that we will have, better performance than competition, it's a signal that we're getting from the buyers that they are interested in our product, even though we're maybe in the beginning not converting as well as other competitors, because maybe we have like low reviews, and maybe the listing is not yet fully optimized, but at least we have those metrics that are telling us that people have interest in our product. So those are the ones that will have better chance of success. I think that's a great insight. And also,
look at how this can totally shift your strategy. Because in the first 2 weeks, all you should care for, or all you should care about, is driving traffic to your listing. So Amazon can track this behavior, right? So you focus your campaigns on maximum CTR possible and maximum number of impressions and sessions possible. This is all you should care for. ACoS doesn't matter. Conversion rate doesn't matter. It's too soon, right? So the first, I would say, week and a half, I would have my listing, my keyword set, and my price adjusted to for a strategy that creates the highest CTR, the highest add to cart, and the highest engagement with your listing as possible. Then 2-3 weeks down the road, I would start looking at conversion rate and then shifting my advertising money to those that convert the best. Then, you narrow down, or you zero in on the search terms that actually now will rank you organic. And there's one big piece of the puzzle here, which is the root keyword, the notion of root keywords and halo effects that we always took into consideration before. But now, if you have 2 or 3 keywords that belong to the same, that you're converting very well for, and they belong to the same root keyword than the number, the most important keywords in your category, those are gold, because eventually you'll end up on page 1 for that one keyword that you can't even think about targeting at launch, which is, the one with the highest sales volume, the one everyone is trying to rank for. You indirectly position yourself on maybe somewhere on page 1, maybe not too high on page 1, for that one keyword, which ends up bringing you a lot of traffic as well. So analyzing this data that way, with that point of view, it's super important.
Yeah, absolutely. That's very interesting. So what is your suggestion now after we identify those keywords that have, high add to cart or click-through rate? What should we do? Let's still stick with the products in their launch phase, and then I want us to go into understanding, like, what do we do, what metrics we should track in the mature product.
Once you have identified the ones that are opportunities in terms of, okay, because of my actual conversion rate, I am in a position to drive more traffic there, more sales, and rank organically, even to top of page 1, right? Once you know which are those keywords, there's also a line in the file that's daily sales for that particular keyword, okay? Both organically from the search query report and through PPC. And Helium 10 also gives you the, I think they call it 8 CPR or something. And the file that we have also organizes it into a column that's called daily sales to rank. So it gives you how many sales you need per day to rank for that particular keyword. And then you compare that with how many you're selling organically with the search query report, and how many you're selling through PPC with your PPC report that's also uploaded here. And then you understand, okay, I need 20 sales per day to rank for this keyword, to make it to the top of page 1. I'm currently selling 3 through PPC and maybe 4 or 5 sales per day organically. I have a higher conversion rate or a similar conversion rate than the category, my competitors, right? Organically and through PPC. Okay, I want to push. I want to see if I can sell 30 units per day by increasing my bids, increasing the traffic, maybe going to 90% ACOS. I don't care. I just want 30 sales per day. And once you achieve 30 sales per day, you download your organic ranking reports daily, and you see if that's moving the needle. It should move the needle because you made that decision based on good data, right? So as you move the needle, then you ease off, and then you soft land that ACOS to something that you can sustain for another month, maybe. And you do this with, I would say, 10 keywords that behave in the same way. And this is a marathon. This is not a sprint. So you need to sustain this train of thought and this process for maybe a month or 2 months. Because remember, once those reviews start pouring in, and this is greatly depends on the category. Maybe you need 1,000 reviews, or maybe you need 100 reviews to get to that moment. But once the reviews come, the credibility comes, the social proof comes. Amazon also is checking that, and they will actually make it easier for you not only to rank but to sustain that ranking.
Cool. Yeah, exactly. I agree. And so then let's go to the second phase. Like, what do we do to identify the right keywords for like a more mature products after a while, after you said
you do the same. It's the same reports, right? But you care for other metrics more. So at that point, you care for the conversion rate that you have on PPC, the conversion rate that you have organically for the keyword. And then now you pay much closer attention to ACOS and ROAS, right? On the advertising side of things, and your product's P&L. What's your margin right now? What's your intended margin, your target sales volume and margin? And then what you start doing is, like if you were in the studio recording, you start where you have all these different knobs, right? You start dialing down the ones that are making you unprofitable, dialing up the ones that are making you profitable, that are allowing you to convert more sales. And then you find that balance among maybe 20 or 30 very important keywords that you have very tight control through advertising. You find the balance that allows you to sustain, as an ASIN, a BSR that allows you to sustain ranking on everything that you're indexed for, right? And making sure that you understand that as soon as you ease off the gas pedal on advertising, someone will take over. So this is like an EKG. You can't flatline your listing or your advertising strategy. You need to have periods of higher ACOS and more conversion, and lower ACOS, and you start being more profitable. And that's a whole different discussion. We have a pricing schedule as well as an advertising schedule for each one of our ASINs monthly. So we do a week out of the month that we are more aggressive, 1 week that we are really cheap with advertising, and 2 weeks that we are average, right? So it all averages out to a margin and sales velocity that we are targeting. And we found that way of doing things is way better long-term than just flatlining pricing, flatlining advertising strategy. You need to keep things moving, because I think the A9 also rewards these spikes in sales, and you bring more awareness to the product, and then you ease off a little bit and you're more profitable. You should see things in terms of averages, not absolutes on Amazon, I think.
Wow, okay, that's a great insight. Yeah. When you're talking about pricing, are you saying that like the price of the product, or you mean the bid?
Both, actually. Yeah. So let's say your product is a $29.99 product, and you have strike-through pricing. You have your MSRP, which could be $39.99. So ideally, you have periods during which you sell at $19.99 to $24.99, whether it's by reducing the offer price or by adding a coupon. It depends on what your audience responds the best to. You should try both. And then periods in which you can increase your price to $39.99 for a few days and see what that does to conversion. People sometimes get very surprised, pleasantly surprised when they see that they increase their pricing, they sell more. And obviously they make more margin. And sometimes it happened to me before, and it has happened to a number of people that I know, that their offer price runs out. It expires, and they don't notice. So they go for 10 days with selling at $10 more, and they have better conversion. Their ACOS is lower. They have better conversion at an ASIN level. Why? Because that audience trusts a more expensive product. And is it the norm? No, it's the exception to the norm. But in many categories, people are looking for very good products. And sometimes, if you don't test what their willingness to pay is, you're missing out on more margin. So I would say in the last 6 months, we have moved our pricing up by an average of 15%, which is not a small amount. And we have the same sales in terms of units per day. Yeah. So you should try different pricing. You should have something in place, a process in place where you can write down, you can track conversion rate, profitability, and then we call it our price elasticity file. And then over time, what happens to your product when you sell it at $24.99 versus $29.99 versus $39.99.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree, because it's something that I experienced also myself for my brand. Fortunately, I found some products to sell better at a higher price. So I totally agree with you, and I really suggest people to test their pricing, because it's one of the main factor determining conversion rates. So pricing is everything. Impacts conversion rate a lot. So it's really worth it. Test it. More than you might want to test, second
more than you want, yes,
or
especially during high traffic events. I normally increase our pricing during Prime Day and Christmas, and we still see the normal boost on conversion that you see during high traffic events, because you have time limits. People need the presents to gift in Christmas. So, if they're buying on the 20th, they don't have a lot of time to browse around. They need to buy that day. So there's scarcity, there's urgency involved. And even if you sell at a higher price point, you end up converting probably 20-30% higher than a normal day at a higher price point. It's a match made in heaven in terms of profit. You should double. I mean, we see double profit margins instead of what most people see, which is a reduced margin because they are discounting during these times. Don't discount during those times. If you can afford not to discount, increase your prices. And obviously, if your product is a good product, you'll get better conversion and a lot more margin.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great suggestion. Before we close, I have our last, signature question. What is your best advice to achieve more with less when it comes to increased ranking on Amazon?
To achieve more with less. That's a good question. I would say choose the right price. That is the one that, it's the core of everything, right? It's the one that drives conversion. I'm not saying reduce, I'm saying choose the right price, find what the right price is based on what we were discussing, and then use your advertising dollars as wisely as possible by only betting on the winners. Sometimes our minds play tricks on us. You want to rank for a certain product, you're pursuing certain sales volumes that you want to hit. Because again, you go to masterminds, events, and everyone is like, everyone's a 7-figure seller, 8-figure seller, and in your mind, you want to reach certain limits. In reality, the only thing that you should care about is profit. The only thing that an aggregator or a buyer will care about when they do a due diligence on your product is profit. They don't care if you're a 9, 7 to 8, 10-figure seller. They want to know how much it's there at the end of the day. So advertising wise, looking at using files like this, looking at what your conversion rate is per keyword at a keyword or search term level, only betting on the winners. That will greatly reduce your wasted ad spend, increase your conversion rate. That relates directly into profitability and organic ranking.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I agree. So, Gonza, if people are looking for help, I know you're a great giver. How can they reach out to you? What can you offer to them in case they'd like to learn more about you?
Sure. Well, they can reach out if they need help with managing their accounts. They can reach out by email at gonza@cyresquare.com. I'll put that in the SOP. And if they want to learn more about conversion and advertising, we're launching a mastermind in February called Core. There's a link in the file as well for you guys to join a survey that we're putting out there to gain insight from what you guys would need in terms of a PPC community and course. We're going to allow only 200 members in the beginning. We don't want it to be super big in the beginning. It's going to be very intimate, and we're opening at the lowest price point ever. Then we'll increase the price for this first 200 members. So yeah, reach me out, gonza@cyresquare.com or at corecommunity.io and fill the survey, and we'll get in touch with you.
Okay, well, that's great. Thank you very much, Gonza, again for sharing your knowledge with us. I'm sure we will see each other again here for some more insights.
Anytime. And thanks for doing this, because it's super useful for sellers.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you again. So guys, remember, the key to success is to emulate the best. So take home, the insights that you got from this podcast, and go download the spreadsheet that Gonza gave to us so that you can use it to implement the insights that you learned from this podcast. All right. So guys, take action and have a productive week, and I'll see you in the next episode. Hey entrepreneurs, I hope you enjoyed the episode and learned something from the interview. If you're serious about creating systems for your business, automating processes and building up your team so that you can transfer the tedious daily tasks in order to focus on more high-level strategic tasks and work on your business and not in your business, I've created a guide for Amazon sellers named Capturing Systems and Creating SOPs. That you can find at thesellerprocess.com/systems ebook, where you will learn how to leverage systems and SOPs in your Amazon business so that you can accomplish more by working less, optimize your time, automate and delegate tasks, and reap the benefits of being a true business owner and not simply an operator in your own business. Go download the ebook at thesellerprocess.com/systems ebook and start implementing all the tips and insights that I share with you. And leave us a review or a comment to let us know how the content we are sharing here is making an impact in your business. And have a productive week.